Hi there, come on in. I have a smile on my face this week. Why shouldn't I? I went ice fishing and one of the strangest things happened. I caught a fish. I'm not kidding. We went walleye fishing on the Saginaw River. Fishing action was slow, as it's been for much of this winter, but lo and behold, I pulled one through the ice. How big was it? What was it? Well, you wait and see. Stay tuned. I'm Fred Trost. It's Thursday night. Time to go walleye fishing on Michigan Outdoors. If you're just a regular fisherman, you don't have a lot of money, you don't have a big boat, in fact, you don't even have a boat at all, winter in the north is your big chance. When the rivers freeze, you can fish anywhere you want, places you can't reach with a cast from shore in the summer. An inexpensive ice spud is your connection with the water and hopefully to the fish below. We're spudding the Saginaw River looking for walleye. We were lucky with the bait. We found a couple of dozen of those new pink minnows. They call them rosy reds, and anglers swear they catch more fish. On the Saginaw River, most anglers use a minnow on a jigging rapella. Hooked on the front hook, it really doesn't affect the balance. Light line is the rule, a 4-pound test or so, and although most guys use conventional reels, I also wanted to try my Bay de Noc jigging stick with a lure that's made in Gladstone, the Swedish pimple. Like the rapala, it can be fished by itself and it will catch fish, but most anglers like to add a morsel, either a whole live minnow or the head of a minnow to sweeten up the bait for those cold water walleyes. Since they're cruising around in water that's only a few degrees above freezing, winter fish aren't real aggressive. They don't battle or bite like they do in the summer. Winter walleye don't really bite like the summer walleye.
No.
In fact, they don't bite at all.
They don't bite hardly at all. You will be jigging your rod and you'll just feel the resistance. What they do is they come up to it and they'll just suck it in. And a lot of times, if you ain't on top of them, I mean, if you're not jigging at least once every 3 seconds or so, they'll take it in and then they'll put it right back out. Simple as that. Even on the Tittabawass, when I fish up there with jigs, that's all you'll feel is this one little hit. And a lot of people will miss them. It takes me a long time to get people I take fishing to get the hang of it because they don't think they're having a bite. They think it's just the bottom, and it's not. So you have to use a real sensitive rod.
But keep moving it every couple seconds.
Yeah. When they're lethargic like this, they don't really want to chase anything, but they want something that they think is crippled or dying. So the movement has to be essential to get them in there anyway.
Dan Mannion from Essexville does well in the winter on the open ice, but he's an open water fisherman as soon as the ice breaks up. Here's a portable shanty owned by a Saginaw River regular, a fellow who wants a little more than just his back to the wind. He built a wooden half shelter on runners so he can slide it to his fishing spot, tilt it up, and enjoy a degree of comfort even when the wind is howling at his back.
We're all set.
A shelter like this can be moved easily if he hears the fish are biting somewhere else. But here come a couple of fellows who also enjoy a portable shanty, but who want more than just a windbreak.
Wait a minute, hang on there.
Letter?
The bottom of the sled becomes one end of the shanty that's pulled over the ice fishing holes.
Okay.
Inside, they'll fish like everybody else out on the open ice, jigging rods, rapalas, minnows, but they'll probably do it with their jackets off and with no wind whistling around their ears. You might be surprised at the number of people who ice fish for walleye in the winter, but if you really want to see crowds, drop by on an opening day of walleye season in the spring. Boats, boats, and more boats. Remember what it's like in the summer, snoozing in a boat as you troll for walleye with the sun beating down? In a couple of months, minnows will still be standard bait, but instead of jigging rapalas, most fishermen will switch to jig heads and plastic grubs or twister tails. On opening day last year, Jay Edwards got me into walleye.
No, I don't know if it's a little one.
Oh, I said, that was a walleye. Walleye shaking its head down here. Good. Yeah. How about that? How about that? Look at that walleye twist in the net. That's the summer. But right now, it's winter, the dead of winter. No boats, no visible current, no open water, just ice and ice fishermen. True to my luck this winter, we picked another day just after a big front. It's last Friday when it was 7 above zero. Fishing wasn't slow. It was virtually dead. That's been my luck all winter. Ice caked our lines, and it only took a few minutes after we skimmed our holes before ice started forming again. Then my fishless streak was broken. Got one. Holy cow.
Yeah.
I don't know if I... Oh, Oh, right.
Almost.
Oh, my skunk is over. The winter has taken a turn for the better. Oh, Lordy. Oh,
you.
my.
Good for you.
Woo! That was exciting. Boy,
I almost got here with the gaff.
it's amazing how you can get the reel all messed up and start cranking backwards. And
Just
Boy,
a
that
gorgeous fish.
boy, that
Just
is.
a gorgeous fish.
Oh. Okay, I missed the record book caribou. I didn't see the opening day buck, but I got the walleye. You know, it's kind of lethargic too in this weather.
Yeah.
That 4-pound walleye ended one long fishless streak, and with my luck, probably started another one. But what a great change of pace.
Here's a big smallmouth bass. Ramos Sabaco of Escanaba caught this 5-pound 11-ouncer on Big Bay Danak using a night crawler. Matt Wires of Sanford found a big channel catfish in Sanford Lake. This cat weighed 11.5 pounds, was almost 30 inches long. And here's an over 11-pound 9-ounce walleye that Bill Ruth of Saginaw caught on a Mr. Twister and Jig from the Tittabawassee River November 16th. Susan Tinney of Grand Blanc was fishing Lake St. Clair for bass when she took this 46-inch muskie. Frank Dunk of Current bagged this trophy 20-pound gobbler with an 8.5-inch beard in Alpena County. Stephen Cooper took 2 nice bucks in Sheboygan County. The biggest was a 10-pointer with a 22-inch spread. Now, how he got the big one is quite a story.
180-pound deer, stalking a 10-pointer with a 22.5-inch spread.
Well, I wasn't really stalking. I had got a 6-point earlier in the day, and my son had showed me up so bad during bow season that I couldn't wait to brag. So I had to try to find him, but instead I found a small herd of elk. So I just kind of followed those, Sheboygan County, but I was in Pigeon River country. And so I followed these 3 elk most of the afternoon, and one of them was a nice bull. And I kept scoping him, and I shot him.
Just for fun.
Just for fun.
Yeah, okay.
But I shot him about 15 times in my mind, but just for fun.
Yeah. So you sort of got distracted from your deer hunting chasing those elk.
Yep, I was happy with the 6-point. And just before dark, he stepped out into the field with the elk, and here he is.
I'll be darned. Well, that's something else. That must have been quite a day for you, Steve.
That was it.
Stephen Cooper up in Sheboygan County got to watch elk all afternoon before bagging that buck.
It was a good day for Stephen, and plenty good enough to make Stephen Cooper of Rockford our Michigan Outdoors Trophy Buck Hunter of the Week. The Natural Resources Commission has okayed a series of changes in the fishing regulations on the Great Lakes. Now, the major change taking place on all Great Lakes is the limit will be 3 of each species of salmon or trout, no more than 5 altogether. The only exception will be no more than 2 Lakers on Lake Michigan. The lake trout season has been extended on Lakes Michigan and Huron from May 1st to Labor Day. It used to end August 15th. Tributary Great Lakes streams that have an extended trout salmon season will now have a 16-inch size and 3-fish limit during the extended season. Senator Jim Barcia of Bay City is introducing legislation this month to put teeth into the trespass law. Barcia's bill would allow the confiscation of firearms, fishing equipment, snowmobiles, and ORVs or other vehicles used in trespass. Over 500 wild turkeys have been transplanted by the DNR so far this winter, 300 in the North Country and 200 in southern Michigan. And not really a surprise, but the National Rifle Association has chosen President George Bush as its Person of the Year for 1988. It's no secret that Representative Jerry Bartnick is not happy with the way the DNR is doing business. Now, Bartnick is throwing a bill into the hopper to break up the DNR. He believes it's gotten too big and no longer represents Michigan's 2.5 million licensed buying hunters and anglers the way it should. Bartnick says the fact that the overwhelming majority of DNR money and personnel go into environmental matters, regulating dumps and sewage and incinerators, has caused the concerns of hunters and anglers to take a back seat. Nobody's saying that the environment isn't a top priority, but Bartnick is saying that it should be shared by other state agencies, such as Public Health and Commerce. The DNR could then better focus on fish and wildlife and parks. While the dedicated fish, wildlife, and law enforcement field staff would welcome a more manageable DNR, some of the top Lansing brass will undoubtedly treat the Bartnick bill lightly. But Representative Bartnick says that's the problem. Top DNR brass have been taking fisheries and wildlife and fishermen and hunters too lightly for too long.
A leading scent manufacturer sells an attractant scent for wild turkeys. Does it work? Well, in a study of wild turkeys feeding on 2 piles of grain, 1 pile was injected with a highly repulsive scent. The turkeys paid no attention, feeding equally on both piles. How much do turkeys rely on scent? Oh, you be the judge.
The first all-women's chapter of Ducks Unlimited started at Flint, and they'll have their annual banquet Friday night. The Pontiac Silverdome Camper Travel and RV Show runs this Friday through Sunday, February 26th. Saturday, there's an ice fishing festival on Thornapple Lake and a spring fishing show at the junior high at Harper Creek. Also on Saturday at the Chef Center for the Handicap near Augusta, there's a special archery shoot. All archers are invited. The Clare Rod and Gun Club holds their wild game dinner on Saturday night. Saturday and Sunday, there's a Steelheader Spring Fishing Show at the Saginaw Civic Center, and at Curtis, the Michigan-Wisconsin sled dog races run each day from 9 to 5. The Grand Valley Cap and Ballers hold a gun and knife show on Sunday at Grand Rapids. Wildlife stories and wintering deer videos will run continuously at Fred Trost Hunting and Fishing Museum this weekend. The museum is on Old 27, 1 block north of the State Police Post at Houghton Lake. Now, there are still tickets available for the Stroh's Fishing Awards Banquet Friday, February 24th, and the Hunting Awards Banquet Saturday, February 25th. Our spring fishing workshop takes place on Saturday during the day. Outdoor club members get free admission to the workshop and a healthy discount on banquet tickets. Hope to see you there. Now, if you missed a number, you can get it by calling the Michigan Travel Bureau on Friday during working hours.
Tony Tannery, who fishes down in Lake St. Clair. And Tony, you're at every single banquet.
Every year.
Did you catch a lot of mooneye? You catch smallmouth?
Freshwater drum, walleye.
Has the fishing been getting better down in Lake St. Clair in recent years?
I think it has. Really, and the walleyes seem to be larger. Bass, I had plenty of fish.
Now, a mooneye is an odd species. Have you ever eaten one?
No,
Why not?
I'm afraid to try it. I wait until I hear somebody else eat one.
Well, maybe you should save him and we'll get a volunteer.
Okay.
Find out what mooneye tastes like. Tony Tannery, the champion mooneye fisherman, holds the state record, and he caught 3 master angler mooneye this past year.
This was a Super Bowl Sunday walleye. I didn't go, I had to babysit, so she was at work, and all my friends were having a party, and I couldn't drag the kids there, so I ended up bundling them up and brought them out to my shanty, and got this one.
How old are your kids?
My daughter was 5 at the time, and my other one was 3. But I had a stove, and I bundled them up and got them out there. And I was teaching the little one, the 5-year-old, how to jig when I hooked this one. Yeah, so it worked out pretty good. She's my luck charm.
Boy, I guess. You must have been kind of excited hauling that through the ice with your 2 little kids there.
Yeah, it was. Well, I had another buddy with me, and we was talking. And every year, Muskegon Lake gets bigger. You know, the year before I got a 10-pound walleye, and I told myself I'd get a 12-pound this year, and bam, I got the 12-pounder. And it's gonna be 14-pounder this year.
This muskie, 35 pounds, 6 ounces, 49.5 inches long. Were you in a shanty by yourself when this came in?
Yeah, I was sitting there. I've been sitting there for about a week and a half waiting for this one. I've gotten 2 other ones, smaller ones.
Well, that's terrific. You waited a week and a half for this fish.
Well, see, I seen a couple trout, but that was it. I was just waiting for a muskie.
So what are you doing there? You hook up a Walkman or anything?
You're bored a lot. You just wait for the big one.
Well, you did it. You got right near the top of the trophy book with this 35-pound, 6-ouncer Susan Smith. Congratulations. The wait paid off. Week and a half for that one. Waiting a week and a half for a fish. Hey, I've waited all winter for that walleye I caught. But these stories are just a sample of the ones you'll hear Friday night, February 24th at the Lansing Civic Center, our annual Stroh's Fishing Awards banquet. You're all invited to come down and watch these people being taped for the trophy book and receive their awards on stage. During the day on Saturday, we have our annual spring fishing workshop. What a rundown of stars. Starting at 9 o'clock, Emil Dean takes the stage, talking about his famous drop-back method of steelhead fishing. He moves to a room for question and answer. At 9:30, Mark Martin talks about trophy walleye. What a record he has on catching trophies on Muskegon Lake at night. At 10 o'clock, Terry Place talks about stream trout. He's the manager of our Hunting and Fishing Museum at Houghton Lake. 10:30, while Terry is answering questions in another location, Marty Wiebelhaus talks about largemouth bass fishing. Marty's a tournament fisherman. At 11 o'clock, Emil Dean and Steve Pazlaski talk about salmon fishing east and west, Manistee and Oscoda. Jay Edwards at 11:30 on Saginaw Walleye. He's a former president and founder of the Saginaw Bay Walleye Club. Ron Reed at noon talks about fishing Houghton Lake. John Hook at 12:30, a taxidermist and excellent pier fisherman, talks about pier fishing. Bill Rustum picks it up at 1 o'clock with pike fishing tips. Tom DeHardy at 1:30 on St. Clair River walleye. 2 o'clock, Ned Fogel from the DNR talks about fishing for river smallmouth. And at 2:30, Harry Reinfelder, Muskong Bay, along with the story of his big 34-pounder that's up at our museum. And then Saturday night, we're back into the hunting stories at our Hunting Awards banquet. Brian Hominga from Jackson area, hunting down in Jackson County, nearly 200-pound buck, 12-pointer, 19.5-inch spread. What's all this business you got?
These are the 2 I got during gun season.
Oh, so you got a couple during gun season that were...
Got them all in the same spot. All in the same spot.
Down in Jackson County. Boy, those are fairly similar racks, actually.
That's a 10-point right there. That's about the same as this, but it fits right inside there, so it's nice.
So you got this one with your bow. Is this the biggest buck you've taken?
Yeah. I got a button buck one time. That was it.
You've done a lot better. You've obviously polished your skills at hunting down in Jackson County. Sounds like a place to go. 12-point buck, Brian Hominga. Every now and then we get some big bucks. Boy, look at the massive rack on this one. 17-inch spread, 17 1/8. Up there in Sheboygan County, huh?
Yeah, it was delightful. Opening day, 12:30 in the afternoon, when a lot of people were eating their lunch. Came up behind me. I turned and shot. It took off, and I re-scoped and went to shoot again, and my gun had jammed. So the deer took off running, and I took off running, and I caught up with it about 150 yards later.
Huh.
It was...
What was this, in a swamp or?
It was in some hills. I was sitting in a saddle above a bramble swamp, and it came up behind me.
This is just up in that same country where Dave Bowman's Midnight Vigil print, that one up there, was done. Sort of hilly country like that?
Yep, they're real big hills. Tough walking at times. You just gotta be patient.
But I see why you say that's beautiful country up there. Yeah. Well, congratulations on that buck. That's a nice one. Heavy rack for Jim Schrauben. You'll hear a couple hours worth of great hunting stories: deer, bear, elk, turkey at our Hunting Awards banquet. That's February 25th at the Lansing Civic Center. We're going to have Matt Gettler there with his state record bear mounted and a lot more surprises of record animals. A great meal on tap, carved beef by Coils of Houghton Lake. It's going to be a super evening. Tickets are still available, so be sure you call if you want to make a reservation. We'd like to have you join us.
This one's coming this way.
Robert Wiffles from Fraser is almost sacrilegious by suggesting we cook walleye other than frying it. Kathy Beitler, what did you think when you started this recipe?
Oh, it's not deep fried and it's not baked in an oven. It's very, very different. You've got bacon. We sprayed the aluminum foil with Pam, and that's to keep everything from sticking. And there's your great walleye.
That's
Like,
the
that's
walleye.
your
That's
walleye.
the walleye of 1989 on the
Yes.
Saginaw River.
And then you're just going to layer onions and green pepper on top of the walleye, and then put another piece of bacon. You could add just about anything here you want to. Celery,
Most
just
people, no.
tomatoes, anything.
This is not going to go with most people, Kathy. This is what you do with some food that you want to disguise the flavor of.
Oh,
totally
and it
change.
doesn't. And just a splash of wine.
Wine?
And then wrap everything all up in aluminum foil. Now here you could put this either on the grill or right on hot coals if you were out camping. Or we're going to put it in the oven for a half hour. And when it comes out, it's just, this packet keeps it just moist.
I'm almost afraid to what Bob Garner's going to say since this isn't fried.
Hey, this is good stuff because the green pepper in it, you know, the bacon is a nice addition and it's nice and moist, but this green pepper in this recipe makes it snappy. That's the kind of recipe I like.
The wine, you can just taste a hint of.
Just
The
barely.
onions, you can barely taste.
Everything is just
The bacon,
barely. It's just, really complements each
What
other.
a concoction. And you know, you wouldn't think that you'd want to take walleye and do this to it. Wrap it up and...
Oh, no. No, most people like it fried, and I still like it fried. I'll fry again, even after eating this recipe. But this is just something right out of this world. This is one of these unique recipes we only get once in a while. And yeah, give me some more ears, will you?
It's gone, Garner.
I know. It's delicious, that's why.
If you didn't write down all the ingredients from tonight's recipe, this is your lucky day. They're in the January-February issue of the Outdoor Digest magazine, and if you're not a subscriber, we'll send you this issue free of charge. It also contains hunting and fishing articles, including ones on winter survival of deer and how game populations replenish themselves. Rules and an entry form for the 1989 Stroh's Hunting and Fishing Awards, a page on each week's show including the recipes, and the Outdoors Forever supplement are in each issue. All you have to do is write to me at Fred Trost's Outdoors Club, P.O. Box 1775, East Lansing, Michigan 48826. We'll send you the January-February issue with information on how to join the club, so write to us right away. I don't know about you folks, but I'm still waiting for winter. When are we going to have 1 or 2 weeks of snow and stable weather so the fishing will settle down? The snow, the way it's been, just comes and goes. In the southern part of the state, there's hardly any. 6 inches at Houghton Lake, that's just about a high for the winter. 14 inches Manistee, 12 inches Muskogee Bay. The highest concentration of snow, of course, is in the western end of the UP around Lake Gogebic. This is also where the deer, if they're having problems anywhere, it's in the western part of the UP. Local folks are feeding the deer. They're in good shape in the Keweenaw. 74 are coming in at Hulbert, several still with their antlers. We haven't got any reports this week on the northern lower, but it's just been a piece of cake so far this past week, so the deer are still doing okay. As far as ice goes, well, let's take a look at the southern part of the state. Like the snow, there's hardly any, 1 to 2 inches, 4 inches, but with the freezing and thawing, the ice is pretty bad in many locations. When we get to Saginaw Bay, we get up to 10 inches, 20 inches at Houghton Lake. Enough in the northern part of the lower for safe ice fishing, 24 Muskogee Bay, 28 inches at Bay Denac, 24 over in Lake Gogebic, and 12 up in Keweenaw. But what about the fishing? What's going on here? Basically, we're talking 1 to 2 fish if we're talking lake trout or walleye. 2 to 3 walleye, but they don't know where the perch are in Bay Denac. A couple brown trout around Charlevoix. The best place for walleye, at least this week, seems to be the 3 to 4 pounders they're catching in Muskogee Bay, as well as perch up to 10 and 15 inches. Around the northern lower, they're getting 10 to 15 bluegills at Houghton Lake, a couple pike, a couple steelhead around the Au Sable, 50 to 60 perch in Saginaw Bay, 8 to 10 inches. Otherwise, some steelhead coming in around Pentwater, 3 to 5 steelhead, so that's been perking up. But otherwise, the fishing has been like the hunting. It's sort of touch and go, depends on the weather, and when that settles down, coming into last ice, we should have some good fishing. See if you can't get outdoors this weekend. It's a great place to be. See you next week. Got one. Holy cow.
Yeah?
I don't know if I... All right. Almost. Oh, my skunk is over. The winter has taken a turn for the better. Oh, Lordy. The drought we had last summer contributed to the low waterfowl populations around the country, so low that a lot of the waterfowl seasons had to be trimmed back. There's one species, though, the Canada goose, that is so prevalent in southern Michigan that it's a big problem. So much of a problem that the DNR and the federal government hold a special season in the winter. Last year we waited all day long for a goose to come in. As we waited with our bows and arrows, we're going to try it again this year. So join me next week and see how it turns out.